The Galactic Council had existed for 17,000 cycles, and in all that time, one truth remained absolute. Stars were untouchable. Every civilization that had reached for the cosmos understood this fundamental law of nature. Stars were to be observed, studied from a distance, and feared. They were the furnaces of creation, beautiful and deadly, forever beyond the reach of mortal beings. Jennifer Zhao stood before the assembled representatives of 47 species, her hands clasped behind her back, her expression calm despite the weight of 1,000 hostile eyes upon her. The council chamber was a masterpiece of architectural wonder, a dome that stretched 300 meters high, its walls displaying the stars themselves in perfect holographic clarity. Each species sat in their designated section, their forms as varied as the galaxies they hailed from. "The human delegation wishes to present a proposal," announced the arbiter, a crystalline being whose voice resonated like wind chimes in a storm. "Though we question the wisdom of entertaining such audacity." Jennifer stepped forward onto the central platform, which elevated her to eye level with the lowest tier of council members. She could feel their skepticism, their disdain. Humanity had only joined the Galactic Council 2 generations ago, barely a heartbeat in cosmic terms. They were the newcomers, the primitives who had stumbled into faster-than-light travel through what the older species considered to be blind luck and reckless experimentation. "Honored council members," Jennifer began, her voice steady and clear. "For 17,000 cycles, you have accepted the impossibility of stellar manipulation. You have built your civilizations around this limitation, harvesting energy from planets, moons, and the void between stars. But what if I told you that limitation exists only in your minds?" A ripple of indignation swept through the chamber. The Krell representative, a massive arthropod whose carapace gleamed like polished obsidian, released a series of clicking sounds that the translation matrix rendered as derisive laughter. "The human speaks of children's fantasies," the Krell declared. "Does she not understand basic physics? Stars are plasma contained by gravity wells so intense that even our most advanced shielding fails within their coronas. The temperatures alone would vaporize any known material." Jennifer smiled, and something in that expression made several council members shift uncomfortably. It was the smile of someone holding a secret, a truth that would shatter assumptions. "You're absolutely correct," she acknowledged. "Any known material would fail. That's why we created something unknown." Behind her, a holographic display materialized, showing a sleek vessel unlike anything the galaxy had seen. It was small, no larger than a typical reconnaissance craft, but its hull seemed to drink in the light around it, creating an almost predatory silhouette. "May I introduce the Prometheus Initiative?" Jennifer continued. 6 months ago, Kevin Chen, one of humanity's finest pilots and engineers, took this vessel on a journey you deemed impossible. He flew into a star. The chamber erupted. Representatives were on their feet, their tentacles, limbs, and appendages gesturing wildly. The translation matrix struggled to keep up with the cacophony of disbelief, anger, and shock. "Silence!" The arbiter's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "The human will continue. If this is a deception, she will face the consequences of lying before this council." Jennifer waited for the chamber to quiet before continuing. "Kevin didn't just fly into any star. He entered Proxima Solaris, a G-type main sequence star similar to Earth's sun. He descended into the photosphere, passing through the chromosphere, and reached the convection zone. He spent 3 hours within the star, collecting data and samples before emerging unharmed." "Impossible," whispered the vexed delegate, "a being of pure energy contained within a magnetic field. The pressures, the radiation, the sheer heat." "Were accounted for," Jennifer interrupted gently. "Humanity has always had a peculiar relationship with the impossible. When you told us we couldn't break the light barrier without exotic matter, we found another way. When you said consciousness couldn't be digitized, we proved that wrong too. And when every species in the galaxy accepted that stars were untouchable, we asked a simple question: why? She gestured, and the hologram shifted, showing Kievan's vessel navigating through roiling plasma that glowed with the fury of fusion reactions. The interior of the star was a maelstrom of magnetic fields and superheated matter, beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. The key was understanding that we didn't need to resist the star, Jennifer explained. We needed to become part of it, if only temporarily. Our hull is composed of a metamaterial that exists in a state of quantum flux. It's neither solid nor energy, but something in between. It resonates with stellar plasma, creating a harmonic field that allows passage without resistance. Kievan Chen appeared in the hologram, his face visible through the viewport of the Prometheus. He was young, barely 30 cycles by human reckoning, with dark eyes that held the kind of fierce determination that characterized his species. Jennifer had worked with him for 5 years, watching him evolve from a brilliant but reckless pilot into someone who understood that true courage wasn't the absence of fear but the triumph over it. "This is my third pass through the convection zone," Kievan's recorded voice played through the chamber. "The data is extraordinary. The energy density here could power Earth's entire civilization for 1,000 years from just a cubic meter of this plasma. But that's not why we're here. We're here to show that limitations are often just failures of imagination." The hologram showed Kievan's hands moving across controls that seemed to respond to thought as much as touch. Outside the viewport, streams of plasma danced in patterns dictated by magnetic fields millions of kilometers across. It was like watching an ocean, if that ocean was made of fire and fury and contained the power to ignite worlds. "The temperature outside the hull is currently 15 million degrees, Kievan continued calmly, as if discussing the weather. "The pressure would crush any conventional spacecraft into a singularity, but here I am, recording a message for the beings who said this couldn't be done. Not out of spite, but because someone needs to remind the galaxy that evolution, both biological and technological, only happens when we reach for what seems impossible." Jennifer watched the council members as they absorbed this information. She could see the calculations happening behind alien eyes, the paradigm shifts occurring in minds that had accepted stellar physics as an immutable boundary. The eldest of the council, a being so ancient that its species' name had been forgotten, spoke for the first time in living memory. Its voice was like the whisper of dying galaxies, carrying weight that demanded attention. "Why?" it asked simply. "Why risk so much for this achievement? What does humanity gain from proving stars are touchable?" Jennifer met its gaze, those ancient eyes that had witnessed civilizations rise and fall like tides. "Because we're human," she said. "Because we look at boundaries and see invitations. Because somewhere in our genetic code, in the very essence of what makes us who we are, there's a voice that says, 'What if?' when everyone else says, 'Impossible.'" She paused, letting her words settle over the chamber like snow. "But more than that, we did it to share. The Prometheus initiative isn't a human monopoly. We're offering this technology to the Council freely with only one condition, that it be used for exploration and understanding, not exploitation or war." The chamber fell silent. This was unprecedented. New technologies were typically hoarded, used as bargaining chips or weapons. But here stood a human, offering the keys to stellar manipulation as if they were nothing more than a gift among friends. "There's something else you need to know," Jennifer added, and now her smile had faded, replaced by an expression of profound seriousness. Kievan discovered something during his journey into Proxima Solaris, something that changes everything we thought we knew about stellar formation and evolution. The hologram shifted again, showing data streams and spectral analyses that made several council scientists lean forward with sudden interest. At the core of the readings was an anomaly, a pattern that repeated itself with mathematical precision. "Stars aren't random fusion reactors," Jennifer revealed. "They're regulated. Something or someone designed them with built-in safety protocols and efficiency maximums. Kevin found evidence of artificial quantum structures in the star's core, so ancient and vast that they've become part of the stellar life cycle itself. The implications hit the Council like a shockwave. If stars were designed, if they contained technology from some progenitor civilization, then the entire history of the galaxy needed to be rewritten. The galaxy is older than we knew, Jennifer continued. And someone, long before any of our species drew breath, decided that stars would be the foundations of life. They made them abundant, stable, and yes, dangerous enough to deter casual interference. But they also left a door open, a way in for species advanced enough and brave enough to find it. She gestured one final time, and the hologram showed Kevin emerging from Proxima Solaris, his vessel gleaming with starlight, trailing plasma like a comet's tail. He was grinning, that uniquely human expression of triumph and joy. "Humanity found that door," Jennifer said quietly, "and we're inviting the rest of you to walk through it with us, because the stars were never meant to be untouchable. They were meant to be teachers, showing us what's possible when we refuse to accept limitations." The arbiter stood, its crystalline form refracting the light from 1,000 displayed stars. "The Council will deliberate on this revelation, but know this, Jennifer Zhao, you and Kevin Chen have changed the galaxy today. Whether for good or ill, only time will tell." Jennifer bowed respectfully. As she turned to leave the platform, she caught the eye of the Vex delegate, the being of pure energy. It pulsed in a pattern that the translation matrix rendered as profound respect. Outside the council chamber, Kevin waited for her, no longer a hologram but flesh and blood, wearing the informal uniform of Earth's Stellar Exploration Division. He looked tired but satisfied, like someone who had run a marathon and won. "How'd it go?" he asked. Jennifer smiled, this time with genuine warmth. "We proved them wrong, again." "Good," Kevin replied, looking up at the stars visible through the chamber's transparent dome. "Because there are 400 billion stars in this galaxy alone, and I intend to visit as many as possible before I'm done." Jennifer laughed, and together they walked toward humanity's next impossible dream, leaving behind a council that would never quite look at stars or humans the same way again.